Hi, welcome back. Lots more to come, I can tell you, not just on this show, but certainly all throughout the day, some really great programming on Salam Media that you absolutely have to listen out for, right? Dr. Imtiaaz Sooliman comes up next, but we've asked for comments on a range of issues. We are getting comments. Let's get more on that. Rahima, what have you got?
So our listeners are definitely confirming the fact that South Africa has one of the highest rates of cyberbullying in the world. We've got 2 comments specifically that speaks to the notion that adults are bullies and how children based on how their parents behave at home and in the workplace. We're also hearing that it's no surprise that the children are bullying because that's what they see adults doing. So there's been a huge shift now also with regards to placing adults as responsible for bullying. And we've got one more comment that I think is necessary to mention. Somebody says, I'm a revert to Islam and wish to remain anonymous, but I noticed a problem amongst us Muslims, a special name referring to us, and realize that we will never be accepted by most Muslims. It's sad and disappointed as we are also Allah's creation. So yes, being a revert seems to come with its difficulties and challenges in our community, something we need to be aware about and try and solve.
Okay, I think it's an important point. Let me give you my quick thoughts on revert, right, or convert. I just think. Wait, me better now. I just think if a person's a Muslim, is a Muslim. Why do you have to even tell people the next question? How long are they Muslims? If you actually go back to the pre-Islamic time or that first generation of Muslims, the Sahaba, in fact, all of them are, my interpretation, all reverts. Think about it. Just think about that. So why is it that important? Okay, the Champion People feature. It's inspired by what I do at Champion South Africa, where we say champion people, bold champion nations, and therefore we highlight people that we consider amongst the champion people. So today is the turn of Dr. Imtiaaz Sooliman. He's the founder of Gift of the Givers. Imtiaaz, salaam alaikum. Welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. I should have salams to you, to your listeners, and Ramadan Mubarak to everyone.
Absolutely. We've spoken on so many different platforms, you and and I always think of you as nothing less than a champion. So par for the course.
Well, no, it's whatever happens is by Allah's grace. You know, as my teacher said, whatever happens is through you and not by you. So whatever you see is the reflection of something coming through me and not something done by myself.
You know, now it's interesting you say that, because I mean, this is just a nice, chilled conversation we're having. But that part, it comes through you and not by you, is something I've heard from you say so often, right? But help us internalize that. What does that really mean? It comes through you and not by you.
It's to do with ego. It's to understand that you don't actually achieve anything. That whatever you do is not something to make you feel great and feel swollen-headed. It was the first teaching of my Sufi teacher to me. When I met him in August 1992, the 6th of August 1992, it was a Thursday night. And the first instruction that he gave me to form an organization, as part of that teaching, he said, the most important point to remember is that whatever you do is done through you and not by you. So there's no place to feel inflated, because if anything can destroy good, it's pride and ego. And you know, Islam's laid so much emphasis on pride destroying good things. And a whole institution, service, everything could be destroyed but pride. So he made that the primary focus, that whatever you do, and it's true, I've lived it, the kind of things, in inverted commas, that I've achieved is not humanly possible. To be in so many places at the same time, to act decisively, to be so fast, to get so much of support, to get things happen, you know, things fall into place. Yes, there's challenges, but the way things happen so speedily, it's just incredible. And you know, because another part of the teaching that he told me is, when he gave me an instruction, I asked him now, okay, if you give me this instruction, what does it mean? I'm a doctor in private practice. I have 3 surgeries. Is this something I'm going to do in the weekends, after hours, public holidays, long holidays? When? And he just told me one line, you will know.
Yeah.
And believe me, for 28 years, I do know what to do, when to how. And it's just something that comes through you. It's not something that you plan or you think or you read about. It just happens.
Now we know. I mean, you're the founder of Gift of the Givers, right? And you have a formidable team. We're aware of that. But you're still very much the public face of Gift of the Givers, right? So help us with this, right? To what degree does it doesn't happen by you but through you? How do you use that as part of the Gift of the Givers culture so that all your team of permanent staff and volunteers embrace that fully? So what do you tell them? How do you get them to buy into that?
Again, the type of people that you draw are people with that kind of thinking. They come to you across religion, across race, across culture, and they imbibe those same principles, and they live those principles. And of course, I have briefings with them all the time. There's different categories. The one is the full-time staff in the different offices in the country. Then there's full-time staff in offices outside the country. And then there's the volunteers who are primarily medical and search and rescue that respond to disasters. The message is said over and over again to all the teams in all the different categories, either through communication like this, or meeting personally, or being on those offices on site throughout the world, or meeting teams in the country, and regularly. And of course, I've mentioned this in every media interview. I speak to them, and we have sessions with them all the time. And everybody understands that it's a team effort, that we don't do anything, that we can't do anything without the next person. Whether it's the person who packs the box, whether it's the person who takes the call on the switchboard, whether it's somebody who drives the truck, we are all part of an important process. And that process is spiritually driven, that we're only achieving what we're achieving because of a great spiritual hand behind us. And there's no place for someone to think he's better or her better than the next person. Whether it be medical teams, search and rescue teams, you can be a professor, you can be a consultant, you can be wherever you are. Everybody, from the person at the bottom who makes the tea to the professor at the top, we're all equal, doing the same kind of work. And the most important point is that we should regard ourselves as privileged, as being given an opportunity to do this, that we are selected to do this. This is not an easy thing.
How do you keep your ego in check when there's so many accolades from people like myself, and the president says something and somebody else says you should be the president, and someone says, give the money to Give to the Givers, not the government, they will sort out things. It's recognition for outstanding work by Give to the Givers, Imtiaaz Sooliman, vice versa, right? How then do you keep the ego in check? Because it must be incredibly difficult when you're getting so many accolades all the time.
It's simple, Ashraf. When you have a total allegiance to a Sufi teacher, when he's taught you that, and you follow every instruction to the point, and everything that he has said, I've witnessed it over 28 years, came true. Something that he told me in 92 came true much later in years. So you know that whatever he's told you is something very spiritual and significant. And for you to be successful is to follow exactly what he's told you. And again, if you're intelligent enough to realize that the kinds of things achieved, if you have to do it on your own, without a teacher, without a guide, or without a spiritual benefit, you won't achieve it. It just won't happen. It will probably be a total disaster. And that's why you have to keep reminding yourself that you are nothing. You are nobody. You're only achieving this because of some great force behind you. The moment the force goes away, you are useless.
And I mean, you are a medical doctor. You were a medical doctor even before you met your spiritual teacher in Turkey, right? So you've already achieved a high degree of excellence in the medical space before you met him. But when you met him and he advised you and he changed your life, and we know that, how did you have to change your day-to-day routine in terms of, we often talk about structure of life, and we spoke about it earlier on. How did you have to make adjustments to ensure that you fitted in to this new mantra?
There was no planning. Actually, the problem with the issue with this thing, because it's spiritual, he said, you will know. There is no planning. It just happens. If you ask me for a blueprint for Gift of the Givers for 28 years, there's been none. No plan. Things just fall in front of you, and you follow what's given to you by guidance and direction, you follow that. I had practices, so it started off small, but actually not small. When I left it, I asked him, what do you mean? What do I have to do? He said, you'll know. And as I walked out of the door, the first thing that fell in my hand was a civil war in Bosnia. Now you're starting an organization. You're not doing something simple, like a soup kitchen or a food parcel or a blanket distribution. You're starting off in a war zone that requires all kinds of detail and skill and knowledge and information how to behave in that. And everything, I was guided along the line. 85% to 90% of what I learned in Gift of Givers came from the first project intervention in Bosnia. Then, of course, I had to do practices. So I was running the practices, and as I was going up and down, the family decided, you know what? Actually, my wife decided. She said, you're not here all the time. The patients are waiting your surgery. They don't want to see your locum. Somebody's going to die. She just closed the practices. She said, I think it's better you close the practices because somebody's going to die here one day. And whilst I was in Bosnia, on the 30th of June, 1994, she just shut all 3 practices. Now, it's not something we sat and planned and discussed. It happened in 30 seconds, literally. She phoned and said, I'm closing your practices. And I just said, fine, finish.
Yeah, wow.
It just happens that way. And it's the best decision we made. You can't do 2 professional jobs at the same time.
Well, and that's a way of knowing that you will know. More to come from Dr. Imtiaaz Sooliman, founder of Gift of the Givers. He's featured as one of the champion people. We'll continue up to about 9 o'clock. Really important issues. And your comments, as always, are welcome. You can WhatsApp voice note or text 061 766 0355. So what happens? Should Imtiaaz Sooliman stand for the presidency? Should he stand for government? Should he want to get into government? I'll ask him that in a moment.
Looking to get your kick? Kiki's have now reopened on 235 Matthews Maiwa Road in Durban. Head on over for the Taste with Kick. We offer something scrumptious for everyone in the family. Wraps, chicken tikka, burgers, tender grills, mocktails, milkshakes, and so much more. Corporate and events catering available. Visit our social media pages for more info or call 031 209 0119. Kiki's, the Taste with Kick.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
My Lord, show me right from wrong.
Huda SA is an organization that focuses primarily on assisting communities within the eThekwini region, by collaborating with existing Islamic centers, mosques and madrasas. Your contribution goes towards the uplifting of orphans and vulnerable children, including vulnerable families, by assisting with education, welfare, nutrition and maintenance of madrasas, mosques and Islamic community centers. Make the difference. Donate to our noble causes. More information is available at huda-int.org, or WhatsApp or call us on 031 271 3049.
My Lord, show me right from wrong. Give me light, make me strong. I know the road is long.
It's been a household name for years. It's been an important ingredient in South African kitchens, and it's been an affordable, healthy choice for your family. Helios. First our pure sunflower cooking oil, and now introducing Helios margarines and spreads. Following the same traditions and tastes you've grown to love and trust from Helios. Fortified with vitamins A, D, and E, also rich in omega-3 and 6 essential fatty acids for a healthy eating lifestyle. Helios margarine and spreads. Available now at all leading South African supermarkets. Helios margarine. The tradition lives on.
This Ramadan, can we still feel the heartbreak, the grief, the pain? Islamic Relief needs you to keep feeling, because the believers are like one body. When any part aches, the whole body aches. Feel their pain. From just 450 Rand, you can ease their pain this Ramadan. Donate now to Islamic Relief. Visit www.islamic-relief.org.za.
This is the Ashraf Garda Show, and you are listening to Salam Media.
And for me, what a privilege in the show to speak to people that inspire me. And Imtiaaz Sooliman certainly does that, founder of Gift of the Givers. Imtiaaz, so I asked that question before the break, that you know this based on many people, and I'm talking about high-profile people who said this gift of the givers crowd have done something remarkable things, and they're not interested in your spiritual inspiration. They've done something for South Africa, and I know in recent weeks they've said just even the whole issue around COVID issues and vaccines and other relief work, just bequeath the money to them to let them manage it, right? My question, therefore, is: would you already have an alliance with government? You have to, but would you see yourself now being, getting more involved in government? I mean, actually, as an elected official, because that's been spoken about by many people.
No, the answer is straight no. Again, it goes to spiritual teaching. The teacher said clearly, you will never be in government, you will never work for government, but you will work with government. And that's what we're doing right now. And that's what we've been doing for 28 years. We have a relationship with ministers, MECs, premiers, mayors. Some people like us and some people don't like us, and some like us and some people don't like us. Because we make things happen, and sometimes people feel that they're being shown up. We're not here to show anybody up. This is not ego. We're dealing with people who are in difficulty, who are struggling, who are battling. And my staff are told one line only. Wherever you go, imagine your child or your wife is in that difficulty. What would you do and how fast would you do it? Don't phone me back and don't ask me anything else. Just do what you think you'll have to do if your wife or your child is in that situation. They work with speed, with excellence, and they make things happen. When we do that, of course, government has bureaucracy. They have to phone 5 or 6 people down the line to get something signed. People aren't available. And before they can even reflect, we're done and we're gone. So that, of course, upsets a lot of people. But at the same time, it wins over the hearts of many inside government who says it should be done this way. And as you find, somebody may be upset, the next day, we got 3 ministers with us at the same time on a program, or a minister, or an MEC. I mean, last week, the Premier of Eastern Cape had his entire MEC, his entire cabinet meeting us, in a program, by the way, in Umtata. It was just an accidental meeting, but everybody wanted to meet us. And yet, previously, they thought we were showing them up in COVID-19. And when they realized we were a benefit to them and not a opposition to them, it's just a total being embraced totally by everybody, including the Koza King.
So Imtiaaz for president we can cancel out. Imtiaaz in government we can cancel out. You've touched on it to a degree, but here's the thing. Moving forward with your own life, right? How do you export? How do you copy and paste the Gift to the Givers template to other organizations in South Africa? I also drive the Champion South Africa project. You know about it from day one, but many other people. How do we get them to do whatever it is they're good at to be even better, to be world-class in the way that Gift to the Givers is?
Well, it's personal, it's something that's very personal. It comes from your own motivation. I have the advantage of having a spiritual teacher. It's something very spiritual. Everything's guided. I think I'm an advantage compared to many people. That's the fortunate part. But the important thing is to hold on to the teaching. The moment you deviate from that or from what has been taught, everything can collapse. So what I've learned, I've actually built a team. I mean, I started off with one staff. I only had one staff. I worked from my children's room in the house, and eventually took an office with one staff. And today there's 80 staff full-time in South Africa and 500 worldwide. We have just 300 staff alone running this hospital in Syria. Besides in Palestine, in Somalia, Yemen, Malawi, Zimbabwe, and projects all the way in the country and an orphanage in Turkey. So the staff complement has grown. And all the teachings, we've put up different divisions. We've got corporate manager, we've got project managers, we've got people who do IT and logistics, but everybody gets the same teaching. And so, to the point, and even, of course, the search and rescue teams and the medical teams. And, of course, I'm not going to live forever. So the point must be reached where all these teams can function without me even being around. And it's happening. Everybody knows their responsibility. I've even tested it. The last 3 missions, I never let them out of the country. I sent the teams themselves. And I said, you've traveled with me before. You know how to deal with the situation. If there's a problem, you can deal with it yourself. And they've been very, very successful in overcoming problems when they travel internationally and locally too. Whatever difficulty they may be, whatever they face, in different communities or municipalities or areas, they solve themselves. So the most important point for me is to teach them the policy and to teach them the teachings that has come to me from the Sufi Master. And if they follow that, everything else from a worldly point of view will fall in line.
Okay, well, it's interesting you brought it up, because I was going to ask you, like, when are you going to retire and call it a day? I don't suggest you're too old. I think you've got another 30 years to do just that anyway. But yeah, do you then have a succession plan? So one is the infrastructure plan, but the other is a succession plan in terms of the figureheads. Because I mean, you're an important, you're a visible member of the organization, and that gives you tremendous buy-in to public spaces like the media. So who's your crown prince?
My son. My son has been trained by me. He's also a disciple of the Sufi master. And in 2016, when I went across, and I told, because this is what we call adab, respect of the tariqah. And I told him in 2016, you've given me the permission to do whatever I have to do in the organization. But as a courtesy, I need to ask you, to bring my son in. He looked at me and said, what took him so long? What took him so long? You should have been there a long time ago. He said, because we have bigger responsibility coming. He didn't clarify what the bigger responsibility is, but I know what it is, and it's something I can't talk about right now. But I know what it is, and it's already happening. And, he came in, and of course, it will never be the same. Even from the time, I'm not, of course, in no way comparing myself to the Prophet ﷺ, but after the Prophet left, things are different. In any company, in any organization, people, even in Sufi Tariqah itself, the spiritual teachers, each one that comes has a different sort of mindset from the one before. And somebody has, everybody has a different type of preference, all important. So in the same way, when somebody comes after you and the next one takes over, each one's going to have a different approach, a different mindset, as long as the work gets done, as long as it follows the principles of, everything comes through you and not done by you, and you follow that, it will happen, but in a different way. I'm not expecting everything to be done the way I'm doing it. It's not going to happen. It's not realistic. In any company, in any religious organization, in any spiritual teaching, it happens. But as long as it happens, and it will be guided again. Times change, things change. We never did business on Zoom. We never did meetings on Zoom. We never done companies on Zoom or Microsoft, but we're doing it today. We can't travel. You have to do things without traveling. Things change, circumstances change. So at the right time, things will change and different type of mindsets will be required to do what's required. I'm not an IT guy at all, but the world is full of IT. And my son is an IT specialist. So, he's coming at the right time when IT is such a big thing. And then he came to me and said, no, man, your systems are all wrong. You have to fix this, that, and the other. I said,
well, I tell you what, if you listened to my chat with Abdullah Baracha earlier about digitizing your systems, you even your son will buy in exactly what was said. So absolutely. So I'm really trying to imagine what would your spiritual Sufi master suggest that Imtiaaz, you have even a bigger challenge. I know you don't want to tell us, but I'm scratching my head like, what can be bigger than what you've already done at Give to the Givers?
Look, it's something internal. I think it's uniting people, because Give to the Givers from a physical point of view in disasters. Look, we are highly specialized at that. We so many times we've been the first in the world. We've been decisive. We saved lives. We've saved hundreds of thousands of lives. When I say save lives, it's not again something that we do. We've been permitted to help people. The saving of life is Allah's responsibility. We've been put in the position from a human point of view to do the saving, because of course he clarifies that by saying, he who saved one life saved the whole of mankind. But then you may ask the question, but aren't you, God Almighty, the one that saves lives? Why are you telling mankind that? He who saved lives saved the whole of mankind. But he has put mankind there as an instrument to do the saving of the life physically. So our teams have done that. With any type of disaster, earthquakes, floods, typhoon, cyclone Idai, even the drought, COVID-19, our teams have excelled. And I think what has come up in the last, especially during COVID-19, is to see the relationship between people of different cultures and communities and religions responding so well to us, where people are starting to show respect to each other. I mean, on Tuesday, we launched the Ramadan campaign. And one of the people who came for the Ramadan campaign was a pastor. A pastor said that, we know him for quite some time now. And he said, in my community, when I feed, 40% of the people are Muslim. And he came to collect food because 40% of his people are Muslim. He came as a Christian to us. And on the reverse side of it, we feed everybody. We said the 60% also gets from us. We get calls from schools where Christian principals or Hindu principals call us and say, we know it's Ramadan, but there are a lot of poor Muslim children here who have no food to eat. Can you do something about that? Now, this is what religion is all about. It's not about competition. It's not about fighting each other. It's about working with each other, because the God is the same. You just call him by different names. And a God Almighty who teaches peace and universal values of mercy and compassion would love to see, in inverted commas, his children working together, understanding each other, supporting each other. That's why when religions fight and have friction, those who are not on the religious fraternity say, oh, you see, what is this religion? It causes more conflict and disaster. So it gives a reflection that God Almighty himself, is a negative personality.
Yeah,
and
true.
That's because of our own behavior.
So I think your point about uniting people, I look forward to what that really means, because I think that is hand to heart. It's really important. What is it? 28 years now for Gift to the Givers, right?
29 in August.
29, right, coming up. Okay. Why was help us understand this from a brand point of view. Why was the name Waqful Waqifin, which means Gift of the Givers in the Arabic language, changed to Gift of the Givers? And how many years into the organization did that happen?
That name reflected well in an Arabic society. In a South African society, at that time, 20, 30 years ago, when there was so much, it still is now, but what Islamophobia and terrorism and just having a religious name created a sort of a barrier. People think, how can I work with this religious Islamic name, At the moment, strange enough, the guy who loved the name was John Robbie from 702. He never said Gift of the Giver. He always used to say Waqful Waqifin. He always used to say that all the time. And eventually we said, look, for people who are already embracing us, but make it easier on the tongue, easy to understand. And in English, the name had more relevance to people of English-speaking communities. Yes, it won't make any sense to people in the Arab world. The Arabic name will work much better there. So it was only logical to use an English name in an English society, and and for people to understand. And it just has been a hit. It's just caught on with everybody.
Now, I know, Imtiaaz, that, often when I've asked people like who they like to meet or take out for lunch, I can tell you now you're very much up there amongst the top 5 South Africans that people would love to meet up for lunch, right? But let me turn it around. I mean, you've had the privilege of meeting many, many people around the world, but who would you like to take out to lunch?
You've asked me that something similar around that problem once. You asked me, as a role model. And I don't have any preference to take anybody out for lunch, because, and I give you an explanation to that. You see, people tell us, and you have to draw the inference of what I was saying now. People say every year is your anniversary. Do you have a function? What's the event? And I say there's no event. They say it's 25 years now. What's the event? I say there's no event. And they want to know, why is there no event? And I say, who am I going to invite? Rich people, big donors, influential people, presidents, ministers, politicians, who am I going to invite? By the invitation, I'm saying that people who are in rural areas, who have no money, who are poor, are not valuable. Who knows where the value has come from? Is it some old lady who got up 4 o'clock in the morning to pray for you with the heart and the soul? Or is it the guy that gave you 1 million rand and he heard it's worth 1 billion? Or is it somebody like in the Mitchells Plain Mosque in 93, when I walked with the Imam at the mosque and somebody walked past and put his hand in the cash pocket in the jeans and took out a folded out 10 rand. He put it on the musalla and then he walked out. And the Imam said, do you know is that man? I said, no, I don't know. He said, that man lost his job 2 weeks ago. He probably gave you the last 10 rand in his house, which is more important for him than for the cause that you are supporting. And that's the type of 10 rand the man gave you and walked out. Who's important? The guy gave me 1 million rand, or the guy gave me 10 from his pocket. So who do I take out for lunch? The Prophet ﷺ said that you want Allah, you find them among the poor people. To be honest, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with rich people. There's religious people, there's righteous people, but you'll find me spending more of my time in rural areas, down in the rural areas for the people, and that's what I enjoy doing. I don't like offices, I don't like expensive buildings, and I don't like, there's nothing wrong with them. Remember, please people don't misunderstand. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a smart building and smart cars. Allah said, I'll give you blessings, use it, make benefit of it, no problem with that. But I just prefer being, or I feel people isolated and nobody gives them any time, and I can see the reaction you get when you turn to people like that.
Well, there you are. So we expect no big celebration. I expect not to be invited to your big celebration, because it's not going to happen. I expect some greater impact, right? Let's end then Imtiaaz, and hopefully we'll chat again some other time, because we often do at different platforms. Let's end by asking you this, right? I mean, you've said many things already, right? But what's the one thing going forward that you can give people? People are grappling with their lives. They're grappling with leadership. They're grappling with what to do. They're grappling with stress and tension and all sorts of things, a lack of direction. What's the one nugget that besides what you already said, that you can tell people to hold on to?
Faith. Everything is by faith. You find people, you hear of earthquakes and disasters where a disaster happened and one house was saved and everybody else perished. So Allah promises you that He will take care of you. So if you do the right thing, whatever happens around you is irrelevant. You follow the right thing, the right way, follow His rules. We all have our weaknesses and our shortcomings. Nobody is a saint. But as far as possible, try to do the right things and have trust in Him. Yes, He guarantees there will be challenges. We have created man into toil and struggle. That's what it says in Surah Balad. We have created men into toil and struggle. You will have tests, as it tells you in Surah Baqarah, and He asks you to be patient. So that faith and trust in Him, like, for example, people we deal with, how many areas we went to, and people were saying, God sent you. Not me, the teams that got to them. They said, we were just praying when we're going to eat. Our children are hungry. And as we looked up, we saw the gift of the giver struck. It's something we're not expecting. Allah accepts the prayers of every human being, Muslim or non-Muslim, because they're all His creation. He has created everyone. And we need to understand that very, very clearly. We need to break that mentality. It's for Muslims only. The Prophet didn't come for Muslims. If He came for Muslims only, which Muslim was that He came for? There was no Muslim when He came. Everybody came Muslim after that. He came as Rahmatan lil Alameen, as a mercy unto all creation. And your best safeguard is service. Sadaqah, and sadaqah doesn't have to be money. It can be a smile, a good word, comfort, seeking out people, assisting, word of encouragement. And if you keep doing those kind of good things, you yourself will won't run away from difficulties, but you'll be much calmer and more at ease. Remember, I think the final line is most important. The Prophet ﷺ taught that whatever is going to strike you is never going to miss you. And whatever is going to miss you is never going to strike you. So what's going to happen is going to happen, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. All you can do is have trust and faith that things work out the best for you in the end.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for leaving us with those gems. And I think, do faith, do the right thing. And this important amplifier, all that good that happens not by you, but through you. Dr. Imtiaaz Sooliman, is always a privilege to connect with you and to use you as a vehicle to inspire other people to try and become their own gifts or gifts of the givers, if I can put it that way. So appreciate your time. Thanks for signing up and being part of this Champion People feature. Most appreciated, Imtiaaz Sooliman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you. Well, there you are. You can also, by the way, follow the hashtag Champion People and then hashtag Ashraf Garda Show is what we do every day. But also follow Salam Media, and also you can follow me and follow Champion South Africa on different platforms, because that's the ethos we say. Champion people build champion nations. Just think about that for a moment. Coming up next, it's Sheikh Yassin Al-Dosari with the regular Quranic recitals, today Juz 3 and Juz 4. That comes up in a moment. I will be back with the team on Monday, 8 a.m. And I'd love it for all the right reasons that you're a part of it as well. Assalamu alaikum.